we all are aware about the ill effects of the viruses or the harmful effects which viruses give us. That is, we are facing the problems in 2020 that are caused because of a small virus, that is the COVID-19 virus. So we'll discuss more about the viruses, what are the structure of viruses and how they replicate, or how they were discovered, and all about that. Okay. So viruses, when we talk about the common structure of viruses, we can say that this is the outer protein coat, that is called the capsid. This will be the collar or the sheet, and this will be the tail fibers. Okay, these are the tail fibers. This will be covered with the help of a sheet. This is the collar, and this is the genetic material. This can be DNA or RNA. Okay. So viruses are, when we call outside the living organism, these viruses are non-living, and when they come in contact with the living cell, they do the replication and they become living. So outside a living organism, we can say that they are just particles, but when they come in contact with the living host, they take up with the machinery of the living host and they try to produce their own subparticles and form the virus, and they replicate in that. Okay. So outside we can say that the viruses are non-living. Now how they replicate? Once they infect a cell, they take over the machinery of the host cell and they replicate themselves. Like this virus infects, this is a cell. Okay. So only the genetic material will undergo, only the genetic material, that is the DNA or the RNA, will undergo, and it will, this is the genetic material of the cell. Okay, so this will get incorporated here, this is the viral part, and now it will take over the machinery of this host cell, and now it will force the host cell to make the capsid, the tail part, the collar part. Okay, the tail parts, and now they will get assembled inside the cell. There will be the formation of small viruses inside the cell, and these viruses will now burst the cell and they will come out. Now these will infect the other host cells. So in this type, the replication of the viruses will occur. Okay, so the viruses will take over the machinery of the host cell, and it will now direct or command the host cell to produce the components of the virus, and now they will burst the cell and they will come out and infect other host cells. Okay, so this is how the viruses will replicate inside the host. Now the name virus. Okay, the name virus, that means venom or poisonous fluid, was given by Pasteur. Okay, Louis Pasteur. D.J. Ivanovsky recognized certain microbes as casual organism of the mosaic disease of tobacco. You already know about the tobacco mosaic disease that is caused by a virus. So he recognized small microbes in that. They were found to be smaller than bacteria. Okay, the microbes which he thought that these are microbes, and these microbes were very small as compared to the bacteria, and they were able to move through the bacteria proof filters. Okay, so these were nothing but virus particles. W.A. Bijanek demonstrated that the extract of the infected plants of the tobacco mosaic, that is the tobacco plant, can cause infection to a healthy plant, and so he called that particular fluid as Contagium vivum fluidum, that is infectious living fluid. Okay. So here you have to remember the name of the scientist and what they told about the viruses. Okay. Now W.M. Stanley showed that viruses could be crystallized. Okay, they, as we know that outside the body they are just particles, so they can be crystallized, and these crystals are nothing but proteins, and they are inert outside the specific host material, and when they come in contact with the living host they grow. Okay, they replicate and now they grow. So these are called obligate parasites. Okay, what do you understand by obligate parasites? These are the organisms which will grow only in the presence of host, that is living host, and outside the living host they are outside the living host they are inert, that is they are not able to cause infection. Okay. Now in addition to the proteins that we call that outer layer is made up of protein, okay, viruses also contain the genetic material. Okay. Now this genetic material can be DNA or RNA, that is ribonucleic acid or deoxyribonucleic acid. No viruses will contain both DNA and RNA. Okay. It will not be possible that viruses will have both DNA and RNA. Okay, it will not be possible that viruses will have both DNA and RNA both. Okay, so viruses will be some DNA viruses which will have genetic material as DNA, and some will be RNA viruses in which the genetic material will be RNA. Okay, so both will not be present, that is the DNA and RNA will not be present in the same virus. A virus is a nucleoprotein. When we commonly call, we can say that the virus is a nucleoprotein and the genetic material is infectious. Okay, we know that we discuss about the structure of this viruses. It is like that. Okay, so this is the genetic material. The outer part is protein and the inner is the genetic material. So when this virus will infect a host cell, only the genetic material will go inside the host cell. So we can say that it is a nucleoprotein that is made up of nucleic acid, that is the genetic material, and protein, and only the genetic material is infectious. Okay, in general, viruses that infect plants have single stranded RNA, and viruses that infect animals have either single or double stranded RNA or double stranded DNA. Okay. When we talk about plants, the viruses which infect plants are single stranded RNA. When we talk about animals, they can be single or double stranded RNA or double stranded DNA. DNA cannot be single stranded, so it will be only double stranded. Okay. Now bacterial viruses, the viruses which infect bacteria are called bacteriophage. Okay, so these are the viruses which infect bacteria and these are called bacteriophage. So in general, what we said that when they infect plants, they will have single stranded RNA, and the viruses which will infect animals will have single stranded RNA or double stranded RNA or double stranded DNA. Okay, the protein coat which is outside, that is the capsid, is made up of small subunits. Now this was the protein coat. Okay, so when we'll see that it is made up of small subunits, it is protein coat, and it will be made up of small subunits, and it will have a 3-dimensional structure, that is a hexagonal structure, and it will be made up of small subunits, and these subunits are called capsomeres. Okay, and this whole structure is called what? Capsid. Okay, they can be the capsomeres can be arranged in various forms, that is, it can be helical, it can be polyhedral, or many geometric forms. Viruses cause diseases in humans such as mumps, okay, smallpox, herpes, influenza, which are having flu-like symptoms, AIDS. Okay, AIDS is also caused by a virus, that is HIV, human immunodeficiency virus. And in plants, the symptoms are the leaf rolling in plants occur, the curling occurs, the yellowing and the vein clearing occurs. Okay, and dwarfing, the plants will become dwarf and they will have stunted growth. Okay, so this was all about viruses. You have to remember that when we talk about plants, they are generally single-stranded RNA. Okay, the genetic material is single-stranded RNA, and the viruses which infect animals can have single-stranded RNA, double-stranded RNA, or double-stranded DNA. Okay, and the name, that means the name of the virus, that means venom or poisonous fluid, was given by Pasteur. And some scientists like W.M. Stanley crystallized the protein, and he told that when this particular crystallized form was outside the living host, it was non-living, and when it came in contact with the living host, it became living and it started its replication. So viruses are obligate parasites. They are what? They are obligate parasites. Okay, so this is all about viruses, and this particular kingdom is not included in the Whittaker 5 kingdom. Now we'll talk about certain other organisms like viroids, prions, and lichens. Okay, first we'll take lichens. Now this lichen is a fungal association, fungal and algal association. Okay, they are having a symbiotic association, that is mutually beneficial to both the organisms, that is called symbiotic relationship. The algal component is called the phycoband and the fungal component is called the mycoband. As the name suggests, the study of fungus we generally call as mycobiology. So the algal component is called phycobiont, and the fungal component is called the mycobiont. Okay, now these both live in close association with each other, and that the structure which they form together is known as lichen. Okay, now this algae, that is the phycobiont, is an autotrophic organism. Okay, autotrophic organism, so it will prepare their own food, and the fungi are heterotrophs. Okay, so what benefit they will get in this particular relationship is that the algae will prepare food for fungus, and fungus will provide shelter and absorb minerals and nutrients and water from its partner. Okay, so close is the association. So close is the association, they are intermingled with each other, that when we see lichen, we cannot differentiate that this is the algal component and this is the fungal component. Okay, now lichens, when we talk about lichens, these are very good pollution indicators. Okay, in the places where you will find pollution, they will not grow. Okay, so these are very helpful in indicating whether the particular place is polluted or not. Now we talk about viroids. Okay, viroids. Now, as the name suggests, these are these are very similar to viruses. Okay. Now, how these viroids were discovered? In 1971, Theo Denier discovered a new infectious agent that was similar than viruses. Okay, similar to the viruses, but smaller than viruses, and caused a particular disease, that is a potato spindle tuber disease. It caused a particular disease, that is the potato spindle tuber disease. Okay, these were caused by a specific particles which were smaller than viruses, and it was found to be only RNA. The infectious material was only RNA. Okay. Now, to be more specific, it lacked a protein coat. There was no protein coat in these viruses. Hence, the name was given, that is the viroid. The RNA of these viroid was of low molecular weight and it was able to cause infection. So, this is a low molecular weight RNA. Low molecular weight RNA, and this was infectious, and it caused the disease, that is potato spindle tuber disease, and this was called viroid. And there is no presence of protein coat. Okay, so this was about viroid. Now we will talk about prions. Prions are nothing but the infectious protein. Okay, prions are what? Prions are the infectious proteins. In layman language, we can say that the prions are infectious protein. In modern medicine, certain infectious particles are there which cause infection. Okay, infections, that is the neurological disease, and these were transmitted. Okay, these were transmitted by an agent consisted of abnormally folded protein. Okay, what I said, in modern medicine, certain infections, neurological disease were found to be transmitted by an agent consisted of abnormally folded protein. Okay, the agent was similar in the size of viruses. It was very similar to the size of viruses. These agents are called prions. Okay, what we call these agents as prions. The most notable disease caused by prions or infectious protein, we can call that, that is bovine spongiform encephalopathy, that is BSE, which is commonly called as mad cow disease. Causes disease, that is the mad cow disease, and it is generally formed in the cattle. Okay, so this particular disease is found in cattle, and its analogous variants C.R. Jacob disease, CDG, in CJD. Analogous disease, that is CJD, is found in humans. So these are the infectious protein which are having a very similar size to that of viruses, and they are what? They are folded proteins. And this folding can be of various kinds. Okay, that we'll discuss when we go in the next chapters, okay, how the folding of protein, that is a basic structure, occurs. Okay, so this is what? This is the lichen, prions and the viroids. So this is the end of the second chapter. Now we'll study the third chapter, that is the plant classification.